Hey everybody, it is qcknd and welcome back to Tattoo Talk Tuesday. So if it is your first time here, Tattoo Talk Tuesday is my interactive talk show where I take viewer submitted questions and try to lend my experience to you guys as a tattoo collector. If you come to my channel for just my tattoo content, I just wanted to remind you that I have been kind of branching out and making other content, so I have a bunch of other videos that you may have missed, but I promise you are worth checking out, so definitely check those out and subscribe if you are new. So today's topic was actually submitted to me by John himself. He said that he came across a news article that was talking about tattoos in relationship to healthy immunity, and I thought it would be a really interesting topic to dive into myself because I've actually heard conflicting opinions about this. So I thought it would be really cool if we talked about tattoos giving you a healthier immune system. I've heard this being a thing before, that once you start to get tattooed, your body is constantly trying to heal the tattoo. But the pigment that is in tattoo ink is just too large for your body to heal, but it's constantly fighting the tattoo as an invader in your body. I've heard this before, it's what I've always believed, I blame it on my fatigue. And this makes sense to me because essentially when you get tattoo removal, the laser comes in and the laser bursts the pigments into smaller pieces so the body can digest them and wash them away. I actually got this very specific nasty comment on my tattoo removal video talking about how I was doing so much damage to my kidneys getting all this removal. First of all, it's not a great way to get your message across because I'm coming in defensive, but it's not necessarily not true. Once your body is starting to heal this pigment, it does filter through your liver where you can sweat it out, pee it out, poop it out. But I couldn't find any information that linked it to a heightened risk of liver disease or liver failure or anything like that. So extremely healthy liver aside, I did see a ton of suggestions that constantly point to being really well hydrated and in good health when you get tattoo removal, just so the flushing system just feels second nature to your body as it's constantly flushing 8 ounces of water and fruit and pineapples and adequate sunlight and vitamins through your body. So I've said this before, if your body is in good working order 6 weeks before you get your tattoo removal and you keep it that way at least 6 weeks after, you're going to see stronger results than if you just drink dead up soda for 6 weeks, get your tattoo removal, and then go back to how things were after that. So while tattoo removal sounds like it can put your body at some sort of immunity risk, or at least sounds like it does the best work when your immunity is in a good place, how does tattooing affect your immunity? Like I had mentioned, I was under the previous assumption that I was exhausting my body by constantly getting tattooed and my body trying to fight off these tattoos, assuming wouldn't my body constantly be working overtime? But this is just a happy medium that I have just decided to live with.
Why do I have to drink so much coffee in order to be happy?
And I welcome into my existence without any questions. However, based on my personal experience, I would say in the last 7 or 10 years, I've kind of felt a difference in my overall health. And by that I mean I'm not experiencing too many symptoms of the common cold. I kind of thought, some people get it, some people don't, some people expose themselves to it and others do not. But I find myself less sick than my boyfriend. And he is somebody who works in a vulnerable job where he's working hands-on building houses and installing this and being around that. So I kind of thought by Dwight Schrute methodology that he would be healthier because he's constantly exposed to these elements and the bacteria and all that stuff is constantly around him, so he should technically be stronger. But I'm wondering, who's bringing the stomach flu into the house? Who's bringing the sniffles into the house? There's a lot of Mucinex in the cabinet for somebody who's not supposed to get sick. So I have been wondering, where are all these germs coming from? So I thought I would conduct some research. I asked my heavily tattooed friends, would you say that you experience a bug or common cold type condition frequently throughout the year, occasionally, or rarely at all? So when I asked my friend Morgan Joyce this question, she said rarely at all. So I followed up and I asked, would this answer be different 5 years ago? She said, yes, 5 years ago, I would have told you I was always sick at least every month. I asked my friend Valonius the same question, and he said maybe twice a year. Would your answer be the same 5 years ago? And he said yes, so maybe only getting sick once or twice a year. So I asked him 10 years ago, and he said I probably got sick slightly more often 10 years ago. So in the control here, both of my only friends are heavily tattooed and both said that between the last 10 years, or 5 years in Morgan's case, they were getting sick more often previously, and now they kind of aren't. This research is interesting, but I wouldn't hold it up to any actual research because all three of us are YouTubers who never leave the house, so the element of exposure isn't quite there. If I were to apply it to this theory that getting tattooed helps with your immunity, it is very interesting because I would say Morgan started to get heavily tattooed in the last 5 years and Bolognius the last 10 because he is my senior. So this isn't something that I've never noticed before, but I kind of always thought it was because I was vegan, because my timeline is definitely used to get sick maybe every 2 months between like ages 15 to 20, but the vegan theory was only based on some very casual research. So I just thought, oh, I'm not eating the meat, so I'm not getting sick. That makes sense. It is why I found this research much more interesting, that getting tattooed can help strengthen your immunity. But I say that this is an interesting theory because I don't feel like I am the representation of perfect health in any means, and find myself every 3 weeks taking a complete overhaul of my entire lifestyle and trying to change it periodically, moving on to the next thing. I swear, if you see me going to the store and buying grapefruits, please intervene. It's not what I want. However, I can definitively say that the more tattoos I get over time, the easier these tattoos heal. And I don't mean that they are necessarily easier to get, but I can for a fact say that my first 5 or 6 tattoos really had my full dedication to healing them and taking care of them and wrapping them, and they hurt and they ached for a couple days, and I was worried about losing pigment and everything like that. And the more tattoos I got, I just noticed myself babying them less and less. And I can attribute this to like a lack of interest or feeling like, oh, been there, done that. But it is absolutely true that it has just become easier. I don't have to wrap any of my newer tattoos. I kind of just dry heal all of them, which sadly I felt was blasé and not enough effort for the tattoos that I love. But there was no sense in me intervening because lately it only takes about 4 days for my tattoos to heal enough that I feel comfortable taking a bath, which is what I have in my home. While I believe that my threshold for getting tattoos has weakened, I also give myself some slack because I got a lot of the easy spots out of the way first, and the only tattoos I've really been getting in the last year are on my back, which universally I hear from everyone that it is a really, really tough spot. And I'm only working down, baby, so threshold for pain, I feel like, does not equal health as far as tattoos go in this theory. So what is the immunity theory and what am I talking about this whole time? So there's this theory that getting tattooed can increase the immunity in an individual, as the study showed that people with more tattoos had more antibodies in their saliva when they were tested. This was tested against people's saliva with less to no tattoos. So in the saliva of the tattooed people, going up to moderately tattooed to heavily tattooed, it showed that there were more of these antibodies in the heavily tattooed tattooed people than there were occurring in the saliva of the other controls, being medium tattooed, some tattoos, one tattoo. But what I found super interesting about this study is that these antibodies in the immunity were not going away after the person stopped getting tattooed or the tattoos healed. So to put it into perspective, if I was going to a shop pretty frequently, getting tattooed to the point where I am now, and then just stopped, 5 years later, according to this study, my immunity would still have those found antibodies in it versus someone like my boyfriend with no tattoos. So I feel like in this time I should probably mention tattoo flu, which is something I hear talked about in the community. I get personally asked about it a lot. And when I got my back tattoo, you can probably remember all the gorgeous pictures of me wrapped in cellophane, crying on a dirty mattress. Does that disprove this theory? So when you're getting tattooed, white blood cells rush to the area in order to attack the invaders, the needle, the ink, but a lot goes on while you're getting tattooed that the white blood cells also combat. Swelling, risk of infection, and you'll kind of see them going to work in the next couple days when, you know, your tattoo is weeping and you're seeing swelling and they're hot to the touch. And all of this can exhaust any person, especially if you are getting a huge piece like your back or your rib cage done. It makes sense that your body is still working in that sense to heal the area that is swollen because it's being penetrated with a ton of needles. However, I am not saying that this immunity that is in the saliva can really do anything to, the exhaustion and stuff that comes with physically being tattooed, because oftentimes I treat being tattooed almost like going to the dentist. I'm very nervous. I can't see what's going on. I just want it to be over. And if you're anything like me, when I'm in the dentist chair, I'm clenching my fists and straightening out my body the whole time, like just a board. And whatever yoga pose this is, I'm in it hard for a long time. And I don't come out of yoga feeling real good, or the dentist's office, or the tattoo shop. But I will say, healing my ribs with my shark tattoo, much harder than my back tattoo. Make that connection. I don't know. But like I previously mentioned, it is without a doubt that my tattoos heal faster than they used to when I first got them. There's a variety of things in effect, like the quality of tattoo you're receiving, the artist, the heavy-handedness of the artist. Mark basically chisels me out of marble. However, there are things that I've noticed that just don't happen anymore, and one of them is the itch. I do not feel the itch like I used to, and I used to have to carry around lotion with me for a month, and it was fun and exciting. I got to put it on in front of people, and they were like, "What's going on in there?" I was like, I don't know, back tattoo? Now you get the tattoo, it's fine. The last tattoo I got was on my back and it was a butterfly, and I can without a doubt tell you I didn't do anything to that thing, and it was on my spine. So does this help amplify the theory that tattooed people have more antibodies in their immune system because they're being tattooed? It's possible. I only looked at it briefly in this research, but there were so many instances where ancient remains were found of people who still had noticeable tattoos, and they would get tattoos in their joints, and they would get tattoos in their stomach, and it was thought to have relieved arthritis, stomach pain. Like, tattooing has been around for so long, and people have recognized it for having medicinal purposes. I have kind of believed that these were spiritual, but I also can't deny that I'm not getting sick very often, knock on fucking wood, what am I doing? And that my tattoos are healing significantly faster. Hey. You're wearing the shirt here and right there. So the study relates this to a similar phenomenon as going to the gym. So you go to the gym, and initially when you go, it's difficult, there's a lot of pain involved, there's a lot of recovery and downtime, and then you continue to go and there's less recovery. And that's sort of how it is related to getting tattooed. So as you get more tattooed, initially tattoos will cause you a lot of pain and discomfort, and they will lend to an initial weakened immunity, but the more often you get tattooed, the stronger and stronger that immunity becomes. However, there is no way to regress. And that is because the defense is already established, so it stays there. But to double back on what I said initially, when you do get your first tattoo, it is said that receiving multiple tattoos can strengthen your immunological responses, potentially making you healthier in fighting common infections. However, if you are just getting one tattoo, you don't have that same immunity response as you would if you were heavily tattooed. So there is the risk of weakened immunity, taking the day off. Ouchie, that really hurt. So I thought that this study was pretty interesting, and you can definitely read up on it if you would like. They're at a point in this research where they're not making concrete claims, but from what I've gathered, there is a lot of kind of, hard to read, little science jargon, but a lot of research has actually gone into this, and for me, I get excited for any research to come into tattooed world that is serious and well conducted, and I would lend my tattooed body to science. Can you think of a heavily tattooed, just badass person in your life who never gets sick and is tough as nails? I mean, there has to be a reason that those two things are associated. And in some of this research, I offhand read something about how there is just a higher amount of athletes with tattoos across different sports, and it was pretty interesting. I do see a lot of athletes with tattoos. You see it, it makes sense to you, but when you see the study, it confirms it, and that's very interesting to me. I just want to thank you guys so much, and I would love to thank today's sponsor, June's Journey.
What you reading, Amanda?
I'm playing June's Journey.
What's that?
June's Journey is a hidden object murder mystery game that takes place in the 1920s.
Oh, how do you play?
Each level has a variety of hidden objects that need to be found.
Is it difficult?
June's Journey takes special care to make the levels not too difficult, but they're very fast paced, so it is a great exercise in keeping your mind sharp. I feel like I'm doing something good for my brain. It helps me de-stress.
What, you're playing all that on your phone?
It is available on iOS and Android, and it's also available desktop on Facebook and Amazon. What are you playing?
What are you playing?
What are you playing?
That was perfect. I don't know how we did that so.
Follow the link in my description to find out how you can play June's Journey. So let me know what you think. Can being tattooed over and over and over again actually strengthen your immunity as a person? I feel like I want to say yes. It just makes sense to me. Let me know what you guys think, and like I said, check out some of my other videos, give them a chance, support this small creator by checking out my merch and my other videos, and mostly subscribing. I love you guys so much, and until next time, bye.